Building a business does not make you rich. I'm going to talk about the most important lesson that I've learned in the past few months. And this is coming from someone that was not making a lot of money before and has made the most amount of money that he's ever made in the past few months. The business has made the most amount of money that we've ever made. Was able to clear in the past 7 months, 2 months out of the 7. We were able to do 100K a month profit with an agency. I don't know a lot of other agencies that are doing 100K a month in profit, and we had a lot of 50 to 70K a month in profit. And so definitely learned a thing or two about being able to make pure profit and take home profit. Now, this is also coming from somebody that has been in the agency game in this online space for the past, I'd say 5 years, guys. It's been like 5 or 7 years. And really in 2020 when COVID happened, just to take you guys back to how this happened. This is also somebody that has, just to show you guys, I love to show kind of proof. This is obviously my nerd wallet, and I spent a lot of money in the past few weeks, and I've been taking a break, haven't been working in the past few weeks. So, but we have 100 grand saved in our bank account, right? So this allowed me to save over 100 grand after expenses, after all that bad stuff. And it came down to this one lesson. So back in 2020, I first ran into Joel Kaplan, right? And he was the very first person out of this entire online space that showed his bank account. Hence the reason why I'm showing you guys my bank account. Because as you guys know, there are a lot of people that fake things on the internet. Then there's a second group of people that they don't fake, but they do almost like white lies where and we're all guilty of this, right? Like I'm a marketer, there's other marketers, but when it comes to revenue, they'll say that they do 100K a month in revenue. I've worked with probably more than 15 to 20 agency owners that were doing above 100K a month in revenue. I looked deeply at their business. I was, one-on-one consulting these business owners. And a lot of these agency owners that were doing above 100K a month, a lot of the people that you guys might look up to in this space don't make a lot of profit, right? I would say majority, I would say 80% of the businesses that were above 100K a month. Very surprisingly, they were doing about 10 to 20K a month, including owner's pay in profit. So that's where, when I saw Joel back in 2020, I bootlegged his course. I went through his course, and he was showing the very first module was him logging into his Chase account, refreshing, and I think they had like 1.5 mil in cash in their bank account. And that's when I was like, oh, this stuff is actually real. And that's when it marked the first day where I actually believed for the very first time, man, this might be actually possible. So that was 2020. Now I went to hit 10K a month, and the month after I had that belief, which goes to show how much of a belief change, right? A lot of business, what I realize, is not the tactics. Definitely not the tactics. And hopefully if you guys are watching my channel, you guys know at this point, it's not about the tactics, right? But more of a belief change. And so right then and there, I went from, wanting to do the agency for 2 to 3 years, 2020 hit, I saw Joel's bank account, and then I hit 10K a month the month after. Then from there, we went on in about a year. Obviously I paid Joel for his program. So even though I bootlegged his course, I decided to pay him, and we hit 10K a month the month after, the very first month. And then in a span of 6 months, we hit like 30K a month. And it took about a year and a half for us to hit our highest revenue mark, was about 45, 50K cash collected. Now, in that entire 1 or 2 years, or 2 years, for you guys who don't know, that agency went to the ground, right? So we actually went out of business. I couldn't even file for bankruptcy because of the amount of debt that we went into. I took about 100 grand in debt. Now, the reason why that agency wasn't profitable and the reason why I had to take debt and shut down the business was that the agency itself, I was focused so much on revenue. And this is the one thing that if I look back in the coaching programs, or even if I look back, in all the coaching programs I spent well over 70 grand in the span of like 1 or 2 years on business coaching. The number one thing that I didn't get was profit. And this is why I'm dropping this video, and the lesson here for you guys that are listening is I wish somebody would have told me that building a business is not the same as getting rich, right? Like building a business will not get you guys 100 grand in your bank account after taxes. Like it will not. What will is understanding that revenue and building a business is separate from profit. I only learned this lesson last year. And so again, for the latter half of 2 years, 2020 and 2022, I was only focused on revenue. I brought on like 8 team members. I was doing free trials. I was doing these crazy guarantees. I was running the old model of the agency, right? Which is clients churning. And when clients churn, you have low LTV, low lifetime value. You have a high CAC, right? You have a high CAC, and you're not charging enough clients, and you're also not getting a lot of clients. That leads to low profit. And so not only did I have a high CAC, low LTV, I had a lot of team members, I had a lot of people on expenses, and what you might be thinking is, oh, well, I'm reinvesting back in the business. And I realized that a lot of the business game is understanding the game that you are playing. Here's what I mean with that, right? For info and agency, the game that you're playing is not similar to SaaS, right? SaaS, you're actually building equity value. So building revenue and sacrificing profit for a SaaS company or for a brick and mortar franchise location, that's going to be different than info and agency, right? But for info and agency, it's very hard to sell these kind of businesses, right? And are there people that do sell? Yes, for sure. There are people that have sold and do sell. But we're talking about the 1% of businesses, right? Even in this space, right? And so the chances of you actually selling an info and agency business, very, very, very small, very small. And so if you understand that, then you understand that your goal isn't to maximize revenue. Your goal is to maximize profit. And I might seem crazy for saying this, and Hormozi has a podcast on this where he talks about 10 minutes, exactly his story with this exact same lesson. And so I'm hoping that I can, overlay the message over to you. But the theme is that you can go 5, 10, 15, some people go their entire lives building a business that is fixated on revenue, or more or less just doesn't make enough profit. And when you look back, like when I look back at 2020 to 2023, I had nothing to show for it. Even from 2020 to 2024, to the beginning of 2024, I had nothing to show for the past 4 to 5 years in business, except the fact that I just got better, right? But financially, I didn't really have much to show for it. Looking back now, I know that, my journey to make 100K a month in profit is going to come from the past 5 years of experience and the hours I put in, the skills I developed, and the experience I gathered. So all of it was not to waste, but financially, really didn't have much to show for it, right? Because again, my focus was not on profit, it was more on revenue. And I was justifying myself by growing the business, by reinvesting, by hiring team members, by building out a great team. Which all of those things may be necessary, right? Especially building a great team, but not at the sacrifice of you building profit, right? And so my new model is going into 2024 when I met with Zach, and Zach was already a client for about a year now. And I told you guys I've been working with 7-figure agencies as clients. Zach was one of those clients that ended up being a partnership, and we went 50-50 back in July. And they were doing about 80K to 100K in revenue, in cash collected for, I think, 2 years, right? And before that, they've been around for about 7 years. So very good business on the surface, right? And they still had a really good product. And Zach was such a good founder, right? Which is why I partnered with him. But one of the issues was that they weren't profitable, right? And again, it comes down to a change of beliefs first, right? Because Zach wasn't a better entrepreneur than, it wasn't that I was a better entrepreneur than Zach, or vice versa. It was just the fact that our focus was different. The things that we believed and the things that we held as priority was different. So when I joined in July, I knew that, hey, listen, man, him and I have both been in the agency game for the past 5 years, and to not profit, or to only profit 5 to 10K a month, when you have a business doing 80 to 100K a month in profit in cash, is pretty discouraging, right? So when I came in July and we decided to be partners, I said, hey, we're gonna flip this model on its side. And the number one thing that we're gonna prioritize is profit. And that led to a series of actions, which I won't get into this video. But we went from making 5 to 10K a month in profit in July to making 104K a month in profit in October. So in about 3 months, we went from making 5K a month profit to 104K a month profit. And that's pure profit, right? Split against Zach and I. If Zach was just running that business himself, that's 104K into his bank account. After taxes, he's taking home maybe 60 to 70K in profit, right? After taxes. I mean, that's how you become rich. And now, and we went on to do another 100K a month profit month, and then we did 70K in September, and in February I think we did 90 to 100K a month profit. So it was we built it to a very profitable business. And the theme and the reason why I'm bringing all of this up again is do not mix up building a business and becoming rich, right? Making profit after taxes, 60 to 80K a month after taxes, is you becoming rich, right? That is going to be the vehicle for you to stack 100 grand after expenses, all right, up to $1 million, right? That's my plan to get to $1 million, is just focus on that. And I know it's possible for me to do it now, that I have the experience, I have the belief that changed for me, and I also have the proof for me to now ingrain this belief. And this would have saved me so much money, would have saved me so much time if I would have ingrained this into myself 5 years ago when I was starting the game. So, moral of the story, do not think that Stripe screenshots, do not compare yourself to people that are posting, screenshots of their Stripe. Only care about profit. Focus on profit first. If that means that you have to take on a little bit more responsibility, do that. Like, you should try to stretch yourself as much as possible. I'm not saying work on low leverage activities, obviously delegate those things, but the highest value, like whether it be sales calls or marketing, you should, up until 100 grand like saved up in your bank account, you should be learning the skills, doing the actual role, working in the business until you have a certain amount of money saved. And then you can look at delegating and things of that nature, but do not sacrifice your own profit, right? It doesn't matter if you have a business that's doing 100K a month in revenue and you're completely stepped out of business. If you don't profit anything, right? Then you're just running a charity. Like, it does not matter. And so you need to maximize your entire business to make more profit. And I think you'll gain a lot more by doing that. So that's the lesson. That's what I've learned in the past few months. The biggest lesson I've learned. And I hope I can save you some time and a lot of money.